Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Hello again, St. Lucia, and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. I am Philip Sidney, your host. Today, we are discussing our Buy Local campaign. I'm sure you've heard it years ago, but this time it's under a new brand name, Love St. Lucia, and the national tagline, C'est ça nous. We are also going with our agricultural tagline, Eat Fresh, St. Lucia's best. All of this will be discussed with my two guests, my two young ladies here. To my immediate right is Miss Euphalia Fulgence, who is a food technologist and a food safety consultant, and she's also a nutritionist. Of course, Euphalia worked with us in the Ministry of Agriculture many moons ago. She also worked with the Ministry of Education, so she's well known to St. Lucia and St. Lucians. Welcome to the program. Next to her is Miss Cindy Eugene. Cindy, of course, worked with us in the Ministry of Agriculture. Now she is the marketing specialist in the Ministry of Commerce. Welcome to the program, both of you ladies.
Thank you.
And today I'm hoping to have a healthy discussion. Let St. Lucia know exactly what is to buy local and to invest in local production. Cindy, I'll start with you. Let's go. I mean, we know where this all started off, but somewhere along the line, again, we always start and it dies along the wayside. Now it's being resuscitated. We have a new campaign. Tell us, which is spearheaded by Minister of Commerce.
Right.
Tell us what's going on.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sidney. The Ministry of Commerce, our responsibility primarily is to see that we have some private sector development, and also we focus on the consumer, right, because we also have the consumer affairs under the ministry's arm. So what we've done this time around is to rebrand the buy local, because for some reason we know when we hear buy local there is this stigma attached to local things are not good. Mm-hmm. So anything that the ministry would endorse, it would mean that it is of some good quality, it would be of a standard that is acceptable. So here we are asking persons to appreciate Sanu, you know, it is ours, and love St. Lucia by encouraging that business activity. And it doesn't have to be just food, because if you look at, say, the toilet tissue, you look at toilet producing, you may have persons who may lose their jobs out of the capacity not being met, right, at the factory. And what persons would do is buy the imported toilet tissue. But if you were to buy the local tissue, then you would see more production, more jobs, and you can see that roll over. So we're asking persons to get involved and buy local, love St. Lucia by improving your domestic purchases.
Great. Okay, this campaign was launched July this year. Since then, where are we today?
Well, what happened after launching, sometimes you present something and then you have to direct its focus. So what the Ministry of Commerce has done is not do this in isolation. So we are including the Ministry of Health, because buying local, we can categorically say that it's a healthier option. That's right. So we need to get the facts. We need the nutritionists. We need people like Euphalia telling us how safer it is to eat what is produced locally than the miles that you are not sure of out there. We have the Ministry of Tourism, because when you have the hoteliers who would purchase, we want them, if that investment is done locally, we can see ripple effects instead of importing things that can be grown locally, right? We have the Ministry of Education. What best way to teach than to teach the children? Because if you tell your child that this is the teacher said, your child does not care what you say. All the child cares is about what the teacher says. So if we get the students to understand why you need to eat healthy, why you need to eat certain products, certain crops, certain foods, then we think that we're in the right direction. So currently we're working on, we finalizing, redefining the strategic plan encompassing all these various ministries, the export, Bureau of Standards. So everything that which is under this brand, we also invite some manufacturers to place that logo on the brand as a reassurance to the consumer that this is a product of good quality, I should say.
Great. Eufalia, as a food safety person and a nutritionist, where do you see effectively St. Lucians buying into this activity?
Well, one of the things COVID has done is to have us go back to our backyard gardens.
Definitely.
And to start getting local, buying local, because everybody was scared that we were not going to get foods coming in. So everybody started focusing, boy, where would we find this? How could we find this? And one of the things that came out of that is, you know, we need to start focusing on planting, growing, developing our local produce, and also regionally, because I believe that the region can feed the region. Because, I mean, like for instance, Jamaica can do the West potatoes, like the Irish potatoes we call it. They can do that. Why can't we import from Jamaica? Why do we have to import? So the region can feed the region. But we also have a lot to do, because we cannot even feed ourselves. But a lot of us are focusing on exports. And I think one of the things we need to start doing is focusing on feeding our people, and then we export. But the focus seems to be on export, because all of us are thinking of money and not necessarily of healthy eating, healthy feeding ourselves. So we take the good stuff, send it out, and we want to feed our people the bad stuff. You understand? And then we now go back to buy the imports. For example, we all focus on an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Why not a guava a day keeps the doctor away? When a guava is so much nutritious.
Or banana.
Yeah, banana.
Yes.
But I mean, the guava is really a complete fruit. It's really more nutritious, much more nutritious than an apple. But we teach our children that. Why don't we go to school and go for a campaign, a guava a day? You understand? Instead of an apple a day. So we need to start saying things that makes more sense. Sometimes we go to training people, trainers, people that for fitness and so on. And they give you a diet sheet. And you should see the diet sheet. Nothing local, asparagus, all kind, broccoli. And I'm saying the diet sheet has to make sense to us. It has to focus on what we have here. Because we have things that we can use that are just as nutritious or even more nutritious than those foreign foods that we're seeing on the diet sheets that people create for us to be healthy. So when we create a diet sheet, it has to focus on what is available in our country, easily found, that people know how to prepare it, how to eat it. And the other thing again, we have a whole lot of fruits and crops and vegetables that people don't know how to prepare because we just don't eat it. Like for example, we have a herb we call the hogweed, the purslane.
Right.
That's one of the, it's a very nutritious herb, but we spray it, we kill it, we throw it away, and then we don't eat it. But then the nutrient content of that fruit, it has omega-6, omega-3s, and it has all the antioxidants and so on. It's good for anti-aging, but we don't use it. Okay, we spray it next to our homes because we don't know the value. And it's very expensive in countries like Japan, and this country is very expensive. So we need to start focusing on you know, from everywhere, from the schools, start using local produce. When our health and fitness trainers are giving us diet sheets, even some nutritionists are guilty of that. They give the patient sheets that has all kinds of foreign stuff on it instead of have local substitutes for the particular thing and so on. So we need to be more aware of what we have.
But there may be a reason for that, because Cindy, let's look at what is prepared locally, the standards. Who is guiding those persons to prepare as to the standards you need for the market? Where are you all on that?
Well, the Bureau of Standards is really on point because we know that we have standards for most of what we do, most of what is produced, not most, but all of what is produced, you have standards. And we have the Consumer Affairs doing regular checks as to what is produced, if there is a problem. I know recently we had an issue with the coconut oil, and that was addressed because the Bureau of Standards, they're working, and that recalls happen everywhere in the world. So if there were no recalls and there was a problem, then you know that something is wrong. And when we speak of standards, one of the things that come to mind too, this issue of the chicken. Because when people, I look in the supermarket and I'm seeing people buying imported chicken, and you tell me that the imported chicken is cheaper. I ask you, how do you find what is cheaper? Because if you look and you see the amount of people that do barbecues that have all sorts of cancers, and there is literature showing the connection between what is, because most of these birds that are imported are fed chemicals, antibiotics. You get antibiotics when you are sick.
That's right.
Right? But what is happening now is that the birds are fed antibiotics.
And growth hormones.
Growth hormones all the time, constantly. But what I believe that our campaign will show, what people would do, what would cause people to make that change is their health. Because this is one thing you cannot get back, and we saw recently with the international, the movie star.
Yes.
Where he would have had all that money. We had Steve Jobs. These people have so much money, but yet still they would die because they cannot buy back that health. So what we're trying to tell people, if you think the imported chicken is expensive, wait till you get some cancer and you will see what expense is. But what we now need to realize that if we increase the purchase of the domestic chicken, then it will be cheaper because we will have more.
Definitely.
So we need to impress on people about their health as to how to consume that. We have pasta. If you look in the supermarket, you'll see some persons would say, oh, they buy imported. And I would still tout our local before I go to regional, right? So you have some regional pasta. Yes, they purchase regionally. But there's nothing wrong with our pasta. You know, but people look at buying because of maybe what they see being advertised, but you may see more advertisements of the original, the foreign pasta, because our numbers are low. Yes. Our purchases are low, so then the dollar there is very short. So advertising is the last thing that they'd want to do. People need to purchase local more than, not for just the sake of what you like to eat or something, or because the food is good. You must look further than safeguarding St. Lucia, developing St. Lucia, building St. Lucia. You have Bryce with water tanks. When you want to buy a water tank, why not buy the one from Bryce? Yes. The few dollars you think that you may miss out on, it will go down when we start purchasing more. We must focus local. We must focus on St. Lucia. And I'm not saying that not to mean that trade is not important. That's why we don't produce cars, because it would be too expensive. It does not make sense. So there will be things that we will have to import. But what we can, let us buy local.
But you don't think that the local produce, especially the value-added ones, the agro-processing ones, it is lost in the whole melee on the supermarket shelves?
Very much so.
Because I am thinking here, okay, is there maybe another strategy moving forward, is to have an aisle, well, c'est ça nous, and have our local produce exhibits on display.
Yes, but one of the problems that the supermarkets have is consistency. Okay, yes, we have it this week, and we have it the next week and the next week, because if they put a space for you, it's supposed to be filled.
But you know, the thing with that, not cutting you short, is that the manufacturers, the issue is they don't get paid on time. So the rollover for them to have the supply consistent, all of this must be in place. They must get paid on time because their packaging must come in on time, their labels must be cheaper. So for now, I agree with you, Mr. Sidney, that we must have a dedicated space highlighting local produce. Afterwards, when we get St. Lucians to change their conscience of buying local, it would be the last shelf and they will find it. They would say, we want them to come. I want to see a St. Lucia where somebody will say, I am not buying it until I get Barron's pepper sauce.
Yes, well said.
And I'm asking you, Mr. Sidney, can you tell me one product that is made in St. Lucia that if you do not get that product, you will not buy it, to the two of you? Is there one product?
No, I can't think of anyone.
There is no product.
For that, we take our first break. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join. excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP. The Good Food Revolution.
The effective management of the marine resources depends heavily on compliance. To ensure that these resources continue to thrive and provide the best local seafood, fishers, vendors, and consumers must be aware of the fishery seasons. Here is the season chart for lobster. Adhere to the schedule. Help maintain a thriving fishing industry for all of us. This has been a message from the Department of Fisheries.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. We have a very interesting topic, and of course I have Miss Eugene and of course Miss Fulgence. You know? Interesting, but let's go back to the supermarket. One of the things I also notice is that when the foreign products come into St. Lucia,
Right.
and they have this energy to market, they market aggressively. They would put a table outside the supermarket and have tastings and whatever. I'm not seeing that happening for our local produce.
We do it. We do it, yes.
How often it's done?
It's not done often,
Yeah.
but it's done.
Yeah?
Usually when the product comes out the first time, they do that.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
first time, but there needs to be continuity.
You know, the advice to the manufacturers, and some of them, they've taken it on, when you have the product come and say you have a new biscuit or new chips, say Salt Dans or one of these things came out some time ago, and when they did, you saw them aggressive marketing. They were not the ones doing that. The manufacturer of that chips would not have been the one at the supermarket. They have distributors.
Yeah, the distributors.
So for the local manufacturers, what we have advised them to do is have a distributor manage your product at the supermarket. Your distributor would pass by and see, okay, it's not on the shelf, it's not on the side, pull it forward. The distributor would be the ones pushing that product. They would call. I go to Massy Mega very often. When I go, if I don't get toilet tissue, I don't buy it, but I can call him up and say, what's going on? But then it should have been his distributor looking to see that, you know, the supply is low. And some of them, you know, they have disadvantages in that some of them think they make too many trips to the supermarket because if the stock is low as to what is taken.
Okay.
But we must tout that, you know, Massy has done a fantastic job in supporting local. Yeah.
They've done a very
Without
good job.
that, we would not have been, you know, where we are. Be it with the fresh produce, be it, you know, it's fantastic.
Yes.
But Yuthala, moving forward with that campaign, what do you think should be a strategy to ensure locals really understand to eat local stuff is healthy, our local produce is healthy from a nutrition standpoint? I mean, what plans, how do you think that we can move forward?
Okay, I think we should start from our schools. I think Cindy mentioned that earlier, to start teaching our students the substitutes, what is best, what is not best. Also, we need to have programs, and programs where people listen to. Now, we put all these nutrition things on NTN, on these places. Do people listen? We want to put it on the jubois, for this is where our people listen. You know, we may not want to listen to it, but this is where the people are. This is where the people listen. This is where you bring in the information for our masses to listen, because we have to look at the mass. Who are the people that we are addressing? And who do we want the change to happen in? And these are the people we want to make that change. So we have to meet them where they are. We may need to go to the communities and do community programs, community community competitions. Have competitions in the small communities. Have a program in small communities. And that's the thing that we lack. We educate on TV, on social media, yes, but we need those people that are in the little communities. They have the food. That's where the changes need to start, at the community base, the school level, community level. All of us that are at that level, we're all convinced, right? So we need to convince our other people. Our men, we go to the places where the men are, to the bars, have a little session there. That's where they are. That's where we have to reach them, because they don't come to the doctor. They hardly come to the clinic. What they come in there for? A whole bunch of women with little children and big bellies. I mean, they're not going to come there, you know. So we need to reach them where they are. The people that we need to reach, we need to go to them, because they will not come to us for the information. They will not go looking for it. We have to go bring it to them. And I think that is where we're lacking, where we're not meeting the people that we require to meet. All the people that come to the doctors and stuff with the hypertension and everything, but where do we meet them? So we have to go to the programs where we meet them, send the information there. We may need to have, maybe get some young people together, train them to go out there to meet those people where they are, so that we can spread the information.
So why you don't have, for example, more often cooking demonstrations?
Which is a very good, important thing. I've already discussed. We need to have cooking demonstrations.
Some persons are interested and they just don't know how
to cook it.
Okay,
yes,
right,
they just don't know how to cook it. And we have a lot of things, and we only cook it in one. Some people will tell you, I'm not eating dashin. But I said, okay, you can make a dashin peanut biscuit. And they like to me, dashin biscuits. I'm like, yes. And I remember making it at the exhibition. I think you tasted it, Mr. Sidney. And I gave it to a gentleman that says he doesn't eat dashin. And when he ate it, he was shocked. Because you can make the thing in so many ways.
Because you can forget to go. I remember growing up, right? So you on a Sunday you'll cook dashin or yam and this other stuff. Okay, and the Monday morning, all they do, take a gobi, meet it for that's what. Now you can give a kid that today. No way.
No. Right. So I'm saying, instead of making the macaroni and cheese, we make a banana pie, green banana pie. You make a dashin pie. You make a yam pie instead.
Exactly.
Instead of buying lasagna sheets, we can use breadfruit in between, or one of the plantains, or macaboo in between as layers. You know, there are different ways you can prepare the food to make it, you know, fancy, nice, just like you like the other foreign foods.
That's right.
You understand? So it's about we meeting those people where they are, show them what to do, how they can do it, what they can do with it. There's so much we can do with what we have.
What do you do with a student who decided she made a sweet potato ice cream?
Good.
When you taste this thing, it was out of this world. Okay? Where do we go from there?
Commercialization.
You know, we have a responsibility. My training is food security. And food security, there are 4 fundamental pillars: availability, accessibility, utilization, and stability. Right? Somebody like that comes with a product. The government is our responsibility. It's our responsibility. We must provide safe, nutritious food to all. Everybody must have access to that. And to have access to that, we must first have the food, make it available. Persons must have money to access it, and then they must be healthy, because they may be wealthy, but
not healthy.
They're sick. They cannot take in the food. Then we may have the money, have food, be healthy, and then we don't plan properly, and then you find that we end up with, we have disasters, we don't plan the foods properly, so then at certain times we don't have. So it's for us to put things like that in place to encourage young people to find creative ways to do things, and you don't want to let them do it, and then you forget, or you cannot assist them. So there must be some incubation method, and then there is the incubator with the Chamber of Commerce.
Right, yes.
Yeah, so programs like that. I think within the government we have so many programs, but it is not presented properly. Persons are not aware of what is happening. So we need to use social media because that is where people get to know what they need to know. And don't come on with a news report, make it fun, make it exciting, but there are means of helping people, but persons just do not have the information.
Yeah, because this came from a health student, you know, at the World Food Day activity we had. I mean, when you tasted this, I tasted this thing on the minister together. I was like, what is this? You know, sweet potato ice cream.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's going to die.
Yes, because it's not commercialized.
It's going to die.
And
I mean,
then we need to have means by which we can commercialize products like that. Yes.
In fact, I went as far as speaking to Ferran's Ice Cream to see whether they probably take it on. But I mean, I don't know, you know. But again, that has to be patented because that child, for me, that she should get some benefits from derived.
And which I agree with. And one of the things that we've done, and which I've always said it should not be done. When people making products for exhibitions, we want them to expose the recipe.
Yeah.
That is a habit that should stop.
Yes.
And I've said that several times at exhibitions and stuff. And then people look at me weird. But when you put your recipe out there, it's no longer yours. Anybody could come and just use that recipe to do whatever they want. And so, but if you have to keep your recipes secret because you have people out there. I remember going to the Breadfruit conference with the rural women Breadfruit granola, and let me tell you, the Chinese, the Indians, how you make it, how you make it, how you make it. They want to know how you make it because they were very impressed with it and they wanted to use it and make it too. So if I told them how to make it, you know what was going to happen? That's it. For the rural women, they would not have a product to sell because we already cannot supply the market. Right. We already don't have enough breadfruit to supply the entire market, and they already don't have the capacity. So if somebody else get that opportunity and they get the recipe, they will use it and make money from it. So we need to start getting and cultivating our young people when they have developed something wonderful. Find a way. We need to have a place where there's a funding that their products can be commercialized. They have support, people to support them. They have people to coach them as to how to move from where they are to go. Whether the place maybe want to take 10% or 20% and this person has 70%, there need to be something system like that in place where we can commercialize products that have that could be viable, so that you could
because the only place they can expose their product is at exhibitions, and that's it.
But even what we want persons to do is to partner, because when you look at Taiwan, we've been having a trade show for, this would be the 13th year. This year we will be having a virtual show, but what persons have to do is to partner. Because if the Taiwan, you said when you went across to the Chinese and Indians who were interested, that opportunity should not have been left hanging. They were supposed to partner to see how can I exchange, if selling the recipe. So we may not be able to produce, but we may be have the capacity to develop recipes and sell the recipes.
Wonderful.
You know, we can see how best we fit along, because there's a very long value chain. So we see what parts we can benefit from. Yeah.
With this new campaign, Cindy, I'm hoping we need to give it legs. We need to move on. Okay?
Right.
Tell St. Lucia now where we go from here. What's next? What they should look forward to in that new campaign?
Well, what St. Lucians should be looking forward to and should be looking at now, because the campaign is on, is being sensitized. What we will be doing is sensitizing persons, showing persons how they can or how they should appreciate St. Lucian businesses, be it from patronizing Dr. Freezers. If you choose to go, you on fast food, go to Dr. Freezers, because everybody would not eat the same thing, right? You want to buy galvanized, why would you go to Bryce and buy fencing? You know, it's all about St. Lucia, so that money can stay in St. Lucia and St. Lucia can grow. It can happen, and we can also look at exporting, right? But we have to build St. Lucia, and it will not work. And I said to somebody a few days ago, if you tell somebody that you have a new job, everybody congratulates you. Congratulations, you have a new job. You're the this, you're the that, you're the chairperson of that. Tell somebody you start a new business. I've started a new business. The support, we have, it's something in there with solutions that we're not so encouraging to, to invite and to support. So the local product can be the best product. They 2 days and then they see you start looking too good from having the product, and so. But what the ministry is now doing is partnering with the other ministries, the agencies, for us to aggressively inform people, educate persons as to why it is that what would the benefits to the country. And we must say that we've had tremendous support in making it happen. Revitalizing the banana sector. And people may say, oh, bananas, we need ripe bananas. We can do so much more with ripe bananas. Ripe bananas should not be thrown away. If it is rotten, you can do something. You can do something if the leaf, the stem, the root, every part something can happen with it. Yeah, so we're just about sensitizing, educating our people.
Very good.
Yeah, the thing I
From your
want
end,
to
yes.
look at is, she was talking about investments, and like you said, we need to capture where we see growth. When we see somebody showing some skill, somebody can do something or have done something, we shouldn't just let it fall by the wayside. There should be a system where we can commercialize. Even from the schools, we see other people do all those exhibitions, all those foods. They come out with all those wonderful ideas, but nothing continues after that. Yes, we do have a recipe book. How many people will use a recipe book? How many people will look at the recipe book? You understand? Yes, I buy a few, I have them on my shelf, but you know,
how can you look at it in the school? How can look at, let's say, Don French. Don has some very good books. How many of them are part of the school book list? Derek Walcott. How many Derek Walcott books do we have on the book list?
You are right. So this is the kind of things we're not capitalizing on what we have. If we see a student do something wonderful, oh, it's wonderful.
And that's it.
That's it. But you know, we need to have a place where they can go. And even the teachers should be aware of that. Oh, my student have that talent. I can capture that talent, make it into something that we can invest in and that the student can now grow. What is wrong if a student starting business at an early age? And one of the things is that we teach all our people to save. I grew up learning, my parents teach me how to save. They never taught me investments. And we need to start teaching investments in school and have students take investments seriously so that they can start being innovative. What's the point of being innovative and there's nothing for it?
To follow through.
No, there's nothing, no follow through.
Well,
and that's the problem we're having.
I want to stop you right here because we have come to the end of the program. Sweet and short. I want to thank you all for being here, honestly, because I think that's we will do a part 2. Definitely. Right? We'll do a part 2 because that's important. So, Ifala, thank you for being here. Cindy, thank you again for being here, and I'm looking forward to give that campaign some legs, man. We need to move. We need to move. All right, Ifala, we need your nutritionist, your food safety skills to get us to that other level. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. Thank you for viewing, and remember, agriculture is our business. Say Sanu, eat fresh, St. Lucia's best. Love St. Lucia. I'm Philip Sidney. Goodbye. Thank you, ladies.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.